Welcome to Brave Healer Productions. We are waking the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out. This one is called Holistic Mental Health. It's our volume 2 book. Calm, clear, and in control for the rest of your life. I love that subtitle. And I love our lead author, Laura Mazzata. Huge thank you goes to her first today for having this big vision and mission for this topic, this book, for gathering this stellar expert author cast to talk about something that the world really needs help with right now. So Laura, thank you for what you do in the world. I'm very grateful to you and really happy to be here guiding this really important book. So I've got some pretty cool people in my Zoom room today with me. Dr. Greg Natello is an expert in helping patients get to the causes for chronic health issues, enabling their fastest return to feel well, function better, and live their best lives possible. Jaclyn Kaminski is with me. She's an expert in Quantum Akashic Embodiment who helps her clients unlock their true potential through deep, transformative guidance in the quantum Akashic realms. Dr. John Stockton is a chiropractor and innate well-being specialist with a passion for making positive, lifelong impact in the lives of others. And Michelle Briggs is a John Hopkins and University of Maryland trained psychiatric nurse practitioner who has served patients for over 30 years. Her practice is holistic and compassionate, and she believes in individualized spiritual, emotional, and physical healing for all. Wow, you guys ready for this conversation? Okay, Dr. Natello, would you please tell us about your amazing chapter?
Hi, Laura, and thank you so much. What a privilege to have written this chapter and be here with the other authors. And my chapter, chapter 21, Physician as Patient, Desperation to Empowerment. And I tell some story that I had to do to learn to save my own life 20 years ago, to get beyond the diagnostic label, to get under the hood, to the engine. And I, in the chapter, emphasize you need to know why, what's important in your life, and then how, and then what you can do to restore your health. And the issue is that we have an epidemic of chronic disease causing premature death, disability, chronic illness, of which our mental health crisis is part of that. And people don't realize that things don't come out of nowhere or anywhere. Things come from what we do and what we're exposed to, and everything has a biologic and functional cause, metabolic derangement, and that there not only is hope, there's a real way in which we can restore wellness, health, and have a vibrant life, improve our health span as well as our lifespan, and play with our kids, our grandchildren, have function, have joy in life, and vibrance, and that it's all there, what we need. And in my chapter, I go through an easy way that we all can accomplish that. And there's hope for everyone. There's always a way to help someone, but you don't want to keep painting the hood different colors without getting into the engine.
Oh my goodness. I know there's probably a lot of us who are good at painting that hood a different color. You said things come from what we do and what we're exposed to. They don't come from just anywhere. I loved that line. We need to remember to pay attention, right? What's the awareness piece that helped you start your journey?
Correct. There are things to which we're apparently innocent things in our household, in our environment. Food, it's amazing to me. People don't realize that ultra-processed food is one of the leading predictors of chronic disease or health. And I know that in the mental health world, we say, food is mood, and that actually is biologically true. And the real emphasis here is that our emotions are molecules of emotion, that these are real things. It's biologically driven, how we feel, how we function, and function precedes structural abnormalities in our body, like atherosclerosis. But I will share with you briefly. I'll show you this. This is interesting. One of my Sunday school young students made this for me. So they're learning, but I guess in our input, I'll say every day what we eat, our emotions, communication, connection, healthy relationships, a joyous movement, sleep, all those things affect the cells, the mitochondria, biological function. And if we're putting in good things, green, and not all the bad things that we know are health harming, like red, and maybe things that we're not sure about, yellow. But if we're emphasizing all the things that we know are health promoting, the cellular function, and we get healthy things. We feel great in life. We live longer and have a functional life. And whereas if we're putting inflammatory things in our body, the children realize that you're going to be sick, you're going to die young, and that kind of thing. But I will say about mental health, the point is that we have a handful of chronic diseases, of which our mental health crisis is another face of a chronic disease, but they all have the same causes and the same biological origins, if that makes sense. So in
Yeah.
the end, it's kind of like if you have different people playing the piano. The piano is programmed, it's fixed. What's going to come out of it? What comes out of it, if it's good music or bad music, is depending on the person touching the keys. So mental health is just another face of biological metabolic dysfunction. And like atherosclerosis or hypertension, these things are symptoms of the same common inflammatory pathways, the same biologic abnormalities. Therefore, we can not only prevent it, but we can reverse these issues as well. And it's all within our easy, everyday life realm to do that effectively and restore joy and vibrance in our life.
Yeah, I love it. And oh my gosh, wait until y'all read the book with the practical kinds of tools and strategies that you can put into place. I love Dr. Natello's way of giving us the visual. I love kids' ways of giving the visuals too. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, we're going to move to Jaclyn. Jaclyn, tell us a bit about your amazing chapter.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jaclyn Kaminski. I am chapter 22, which is You Are Your Own Healer, Cure Illness with the Power of Attention and Breath. So really, my entire chapter is all about being in your body, listening to the wisdom, because our body holds all of the wisdom from this life, from every life, and really listening to your intuition. It's all about how I was diagnosed with emphysema and how I received that information, which came through my guides and really being in my body and listening to my intuition and what that path and journey looks like. And you truly, it has been such an amazing journey. I've had actually a few health issues that have come up, and it's literally I have been able to listen to my body, hear my body speaking to me, hear, right, my guides speaking to me, and taking action and trusting myself and my intuition and my body, and really listening in. That's what my whole chapter is about. But you truly are your own healer, and I'm super passionate about that. And just really, my main way of doing that is by getting out of my head. So by doing breath work, I'm doing a 3-part breath to get out of my head and get into my body and just allow my body to kind of take over and speak to me.
So I've talked to a lot of people where, as a young person, you may have been connected to your intuition, you lost it somewhere along the way, or it just wasn't, you weren't taught to hone the skills. You may discover it later on in life. Yay, that was me. Is that
Yeah.
part of your journey? And what do you want people to know about that connection to intuition in terms of giving them a way to think about it?
Yes. So I actually did have it at a very young age. And then I forgot, lost it, kind of obviously took on my parents' right conditioning and what they kind of told me and like let it all go. Through the years, I definitely had it there, but I don't think I listened to it as loud. And then once my dad passed, it actually really kind of forced me into it. And it truly is the fastest and easiest way I've felt that people can truly listen to their intuition is by number one, getting in the body, but also kind of releasing the rules. Like everybody has rules, and they're like, well, in order to listen to your intuition, you need to do this and this and this. And that is not true at all. We all have our own unique energy. So our energy is going to speak to us differently. We all have our own unique ways, and it's really trusting your intuition and finding what way your intuition best speaks to you through your specific energy. And it's just playing and knowing you can't get it wrong.
Yeah, I love that. Really love that you're helping people understand there's a lot of great ways to have that connection. There are no rules here, you guys. So your way is your way.
And I have to, Jaclyn, thank you for your energy. And it's hard to imagine you've ever had emphysema. You have such
Yeah.
incredible breathing capacity. It's incredible. So
Breath work.
congratulations. Wow. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jaclyn, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being in the project. We're going to get over to Dr. John Stockton next. Tell me about your amazing chapter, John.
Laura, thanks for having me here. So my chapter is chapter 20. It's about how to escape the prison of anxiety and depression using thought, mind, and consciousness. And so it's based on neuroscience and principles of thought and mind and consciousness. I start with just sharing a part of my story. Like many of us, I struggled for much of my life with depressed feelings, anxiety, codependency, all kinds of unpleasant feelings. Two marriages that suffered and failed as a result, or at least partly as a result of the struggles I was having in my own mind. And ultimately, I just went on a quest, on a journey to figure things out. And the tools I share are just a conversation. I wanted to show in simple conversation form what it's like to just bring out these facts from neuroscience and these principles to see, to show how easy it is to actually get unstuck from these ongoing unpleasant feelings. And I wanted to share it because these are the things that helped me, that changed my life. And the people I've shared it with, you see immediate impact. And so I love the idea of being able to share that with the world. So that's why I was excited to join this effort to reach people for mental health. So yeah, that's what my chapter is, in essence, what my chapter is about.
So I hope you all heard what he just said, how easy it is to get unstuck. I'm going to just rewind to that line because I think we think it's so hard. We think it's this, we think it's that, but what if it could be easy, right? What do you want to tell people about that, John?
Well, I think that in our society, we've almost been trained to think it's going to take years and years of counseling and therapy to overcome something. And not that those things aren't beneficial, but it's amazing how when you get a new understanding about the inside out nature of thought, about how you experience life and your perception of life and the world around you through your thought, how much in control you really are over your thinking. And it's just amazing how quick that changes. And so it's just the simplicity of it's profound to me. You know, it sounds almost ridiculous, but if I'm having thoughts about something sad in my past and I keep thinking about that, I'm going to feel sad, right? If I keep putting energy into that, I'm going to start feeling depressed and I'm going to start living that way more and more. If I realize that I can be aware of my thoughts and I can change the way I'm thinking, and that thought's going to give me a different feeling, then I stop feeling that sadness so much. And so usually what I try to do is teach people about present time consciousness first, because when we are truly present in the moment, then it's really hard to feel depressed or anxious or sad or fearful, worried, and so forth. Most of our unpleasant feelings will just vanish when we're present in the moment. And when we learn to slow down our mind, to slow down our thinking, the more we slow down our thinking, the better we tend to feel. The more creative we are, the more productive we are, and the easier it is to manage the unpleasant moments that may come along.
This awareness is everything, you guys. It's the foundation of everything that you can change in your life. I get excited about this topic, John. This thought awareness, present time consciousness. I like those three words together.
With my clients, I like to teach them the science, the background to how this works. And I won't go into it right now, but just I explain the science from the brain and the changes to the dendrites on the neurons and the genetic expression that changes, and I try to give people a scientific, tangible, information so they know and understand there's a real process that's going on with doing this work.
You guys can tell we've got some scientists in the room, huh? We're about to talk to another one. Thank you, John, for being here today.
Thank you.
So speaking of Miss Michelle Briggs, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Thanks for having me, Laura. It's great to be an advocate for plant medicines and alternative treatments for mental health. My chapter's cannabis and psychedelic medicines. Are they options for you? A little background, I got into cannabis medicine after seeing a lot of folks just using opioids and our fentanyl crisis and ODs and friends and family members and just everywhere. We all have someone that we know, and cannabis ended up being a great alternative. And I got into the cannabis nursing network, and as a nurse, we're spiritual, physical, and mental health healers anyway. And so it was right up my alley. And I've had a lot of patients that I've treated with cannabis, and they are happy with the choice to be able to use it. Not in every state, obviously, but in our state of Maryland, they're able to choose that as a medicine. And then it kind of blossomed. A lot of patients are using it for anxiety, PTSD, depression, insomnia, things like that. And they wanted a medical alternative to other drugs that I myself prescribed. And so I've had a lot of success, even with alcohol treatment with cannabis. That inspired me to get involved in the psychedelic movement, which a lot of us have been seeing these days. And so I got certified for that. And I haven't really hung my shingle quite yet on that. I'm planning on it. I've had some personal things to get through recently. But the treatment of PTSD, trauma is huge. Awareness these days for folks, identifying that they have trauma in their histories. I personally have sought treatment for PTSD from being an adoptee, and have found that the psychedelic and medicine was a good alternative for me to overcome kind of like a spiritual surgery and get better quicker than just traditional psychotherapy and traditional medications. And as we know, there's research coming out now, and we will be seeing drugs like psilocybin, which is legal in some states, which is magic mushrooms. Ketamine, which is an anesthetic, is being used as a psychedelic now in many states. and for treatment of depression and PTSD and addiction. And then MDMA just finished its third trial, and we will probably be seeing that. That's ecstasy or Molly. And when used in clinical setting, it can be really, really helpful to help people heal and heal a little more quickly than with conventional medicines.
So thank you for having the courage to talk about the subject in some places where it's, I don't know if I want to say controversial or
Oh, it
whatever, but
is.
yeah.
It's very controversial.
Well, and so thank you. And what do you want to say about that? I mean, from my perspective, I mean, hence the title of our book, Holistic Mental Health here.
Yeah.
We're going to hit this in all different kinds of ways. But what else do you want to tell people about that in terms of the possibilities here?
Well, I know that some people are definitely desperate. They've tried all sorts of treatments for their mental health issue. They're not satisfied with being in remission. As a clinician, my duty is to help people go into remission of their symptoms. So people are exploring, they're curious, they're wondering, what can I do to help myself reach a better, quality of life here? And so people are a little more interested in, the more publicity that we're getting too is I think helping people to reduce their fears in exploring these alternatives. I certainly don't recommend exploring it on your own without a trained professional. It's not a recreational, I'm not an advocate for that. But I think, my chapter kind of explains, some questions to ask yourself to see if these are natural options for your wellness. And, hopefully, it'll reach the people that do want the access to these medicines. And it's not for everybody. Absolutely not. So.
Thanks to all of you. Honestly, at this point, I would just want to give you all a shout out for taking up the challenge I gave you to put these stories, your beautiful stories and the strategies into this book in black and white, right? You're all master teachers and you do this every day, but to get that into a book to help people is another kind of challenge. So thanks to all of you for doing that. And I wanted to help people get into your world at the next level. Jaclyn, I'm going to start this question with you. For me, the feeling is the healing, and feeling is an awareness practice. Awareness is everything. You heard me say it earlier. Helping people to feel is part of this journey for me. And I'd love it if you would share your practice of awareness. What does that look like in your day-to-day?
I laughed often about this because you'll find me, because I am very aware of my thoughts, right? I don't try, right? We have our ego and then we have our soul, and both of them equally speak to us. And I would like them to love each other both, and we like to live in harmony. So my practice really is just being super present, and I will stop and just take a few breaths when I notice in my body that something just bothered me, or I just got triggered, or I got angry. It's like, oh, and I take radical responsibility for it, right? It is, right? It is all up to me, and it has nothing to do with anyone else, whatever was said. So it's like, oh, it's like I stop and it's me just listening into my body, and it's like, oh, okay, that's okay that I felt that, and really just bringing pure presence to it. And when you really bring pure presence and pure love to any part of you that kind of is coming up, it does. And it's just energy, right? It's just energy trapped in your body. It kind of gets to just release. So anytime I get a little trigger, and if I can't sit with it at that moment, I'll just make a mental note of it, because I'm very aware now of kind of what's going on in my body. And it's funny because sometimes just even my thoughts, I laugh at them now. So I could just be going about my day, and all of a sudden you'll see me laugh. I'm like, that was the silliest thing in the world that was just there. What was I thinking? But it's not taking it right so seriously either. It's really just being like, oh, okay, here is an emotion that's okay. Let me just be with this emotion and let it process and move through my body. It's just energy.
Beautiful process. Thank you for sharing that. I love it. I love when you all share your process. It helps me feel not crazy and not alone and not all right. It's like, oh yeah, she does that kind of fun, those funny things too. I love it. John, how about you? Can you give us a little window into one of the ways you're practicing awareness?
Yeah, again, similar to what she just shared, when you have an unpleasant feeling, you want to be aware that, well, what am I thinking? My thoughts, our thoughts will generate feelings. And it's not so important that you know what your thought was or the content of that thought, but just understanding that I do think and my thoughts will generate feelings. And if it's something unpleasant, then I can take the thought captive. I can decide, I can literally choose if I want to give more energy to that thought, if I want to keep going with it, or if I want to cast it away and think about something different or think of it in a different manner, perhaps. And so if first I'll slow down my mind, I'll take some deep breaths. I might use my 5 senses to help me hone in on the present, so my mind's not drifting to the future or past. And, what does my sleeve feel like on my skin right now? What do I hear? Are there children in the background or birds chirping? I'll use my senses and my breathing to bring me to the present. And then as I practice that, I find that I become more aware of my feelings, and I can become more aware of my thoughts, and I can start taking more control over my thought life. So that, to me, that's a foundation to be able to deal with any sort of chronic, mental challenges that someone's having.
Yeah, powerful. We're recording right in the middle of spring right now, you guys. The birds are definitely my helpers in my ears, right? To ground me into this present moment. I love that you mentioned that. Michelle, if I was to peek in your window, how would I find you in this practice?
Of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely practice self-awareness through prayer and meditation. And I am very happy to be around other like-minded people as well, and a fellowship that I belong to. And when I take a moment, and I've been living in a moment, lots of moments recently with helping a loved one pass on, I have felt very kind of free in that process by staying in the moment and living in the moment and breathing in the moment. And I do want to put a little pitch in there that sometimes the tool of cannabis for me in a quiet place can help me be in that space a little more. And that's been freeing as well.
I love that you're using freedom. That'll have a physical feeling in each one of us that we can, even feel right this moment. You can feel in your body where that freedom is. That's powerful. It's a powerful feeling. Thank you. Greg, how about you? What's one of the ways that you practice awareness?
In my daily life, every morning, rain or shine, I get outside first thing in the morning. Before I do anything, I get out in the morning, get sunshine, nature, breathing, sometimes a walk with that, but the sunshine and the breathing and the nature is key every day, regardless of the weather. And I hadn't viewed it this way before, but I think it's really a meditation for me. But I have free flowing thoughts and energy. My mitochondria are alive in my brain. And the other thing that's really helpful, I think, is joyous movement, aka exercise. I don't use that word. I don't use the word diet. I use dietary pattern and delicious food. But joyous movement is really wonderful. Spirituality. And through the day, I try and connect with people all day long. It's amazing just having coffee. You can meet 3 wonderful nuns, or a man can come in and say, "Hey, my wife's in the car screaming at me. I have 3 jobs." And I don't know what it is, but people like if you allow yourself to be available, somehow you encounter all these wonderful people every day, and practice gratitude in my thoughts. And I think everyone here mentioned a great thing about breathing is so powerful for your health. And sometimes if I'm feeling badly, if I think accountability is very important, personal accountability and responsibility. And if I look at that, I'll say, wow, what did I do that I'm self-sabotaging my thought? Because people don't realize your brain is connected to your body. It's all part of health. And if you're not healthy biologically, that's reflected in your brain and mental issues as well. And I guess one other thing I'll mention too is sleep is very important, as well as what you eat, what you put on your skin, what you're breathing. All those things kind of culminate in how you are as a person. And I appreciate that there are medicines, and at some point we all may need a medicine, but with foundational health, which means mental health, you can't have good mental health unless you have foundational health. But this pill for an ill thing is where our society has really gone wrong. So all we're doing is covering symptoms without correcting the underlying issues. And I think that was a great point that was made even about adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. They're very profound biologically and account for a large proportion of adult illness. So again, foundational health is what mental health and heart disease and everything else, that all starts with that. So anything I do, whether it's to alter my autonomic nervous system, but everything has to do with health and then joy and how long we live and our daily function. I know that's a little bit longer than what you asked, but there's some insights into that. And we need to get away from this hammer nail thing that everybody has a hammer nail and they're missing the big picture, that it's not a hammer nail. It's not, penicillin for this or a pill for an ill, and covering symptoms and superficially treating tip of the iceberg symptoms without ignoring what's underneath it all.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
John, what's the most important thing, you guys? One, I know you could tell me 100. Give me one most important thing you want people to know about holistic mental health.
I'd say that everybody was born with perfect mental health.
I
And
love that.
there's not mental disease. Mental diseases basically, as it's labeled often under allopathic medicine. But you're born with perfect mental health, like a shining diamond. Your psychology is working perfectly well. Whatever you're going through, it's responding the way it's supposed to respond. You don't have to be afraid of it. You just create awareness for how you think and feel. And again, to start sloughing off all the junk and garbage that life experience may have thrown at you, realizing you got that beautiful diamond of a mind, that natural, perfect mental health in there. You just need to uncover some things and be aware of your thought life.
It's a nice way to start that question off. Michelle, what's the one thing you want people to know about mental health?
You have choices, and you don't have to, you have choices. There's lots of natural options and holistic options for mental health. It doesn't have to be just a pill or a psychopharmaceutical to help you to get better. In fact, a lot of folks can get better without using medications and using these natural options.
Another great point that was made, that you are not a diagnostic label. And that's the fallacy of what we do with street corner medicine or usual medicine, that a diagnostic label doesn't define you, and it doesn't tell you the causes and contributory factors to what you're experiencing. And too often we're blocked from helping patients because they're stuck with a diagnostic label. And so I'll say that. I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, perfect. And Michelle, coming back to you just with a natural, I mean, hence our title of our whole book, you guys, Holistic Mental Health. We're going to go at this from so many different avenues that we hope to give you hope. There's going to be, it's one of actually the things that sits underneath my big mission here for these expert collaborations, because all of your unique voices are so important, and your stories and your strategies. So when we put these together, we give people who have tried 20 things without success hope. That's a big deal, you guys. Like, this is what we're doing here. Jaclyn, what's the one thing you want people to know about mental health?
But you're not broken. You are whole. You are complete. You are perfect as you are. And you just really need to remember truly who you are at that soul level. But you are not broken. You really are perfect. And there is something out there for you. You just have to keep kind of checking back in with you and trying lots of different things, and you'll find something.
Yes, I love that too. Fantastic. All right, y'all, I have one more question. You're going to have to give me the speed dating version of this to finish up here today, because this could be a big one. And any of these questions today, we could sit here and talk for 3 hours about, right? Like, these are juicy questions and big, deep topics. I so appreciate all of you for wanting people to understand and know their options, and just for being a part of this. But one thing I know for sure is that community was the difference between success and failure some days for my mental health. And that community didn't have to mean many, many, many people. It could have been one person that was the difference for me. So, Michelle, what has community meant for you?
Well, in my field, there are a lot of stereotypes and naysayers. And so being a part of a community of other nurse advocates has been really, really helpful. And I did attend a psychedelic conference with 15,000 medical professionals that were there last summer. And that was like amazing. And indigenous people, just people from all over the world that are advocating for the use of psychedelic medicine, Rick Doblin, people like that. So it's just inspiring to me that, okay, you're on the right road here. It's okay.
You're giving me goosebumps about the room of 15,000. That's pretty awesome. That's a big community, right?
It was pretty amazing.
Greg, what has community meant for you?
For me, it was life-saving, support. And for my patients, we try and provide community. And as you know, being isolated increases mortality. Community connection and support is critical. And that comes in many forms. It can come in a smile from when you're driving through a coffee place. It can come from family. It can come from places you least expect it. You have to open your mind and your heart to provide it and also to receive it. But community is really everything: spirituality, gratitude, connection. You have to get out of it. The worst thing you can do is isolate yourself and stop learning and lose hope and get into a progressive rut. And we all know that that's unnecessary. And if you keep searching, you'll find the right provider to help you, and you'll find the right direction. And there are some basic fundamental things that everybody needs to do in health, but community is really invaluable.
Yeah, agree. In another interview, the isolation came up, you guys, and so I'll just kind of rewind to that idea for just a half a second and say that that's unnecessary. So, and I'm going to talk about this community in just a minute, but I want the others to answer this first. Jaclyn, tell me about what community has meant for you.
Community is everything. I love community, right? As humans, we are, while yes, we have everything inside of us that we need, we actually, like our nervous systems, we need that co-regulation, that co-nourishment. We need community, right? Like, especially when we come back, like back from like our tribe, right? We are all part of a tribe at one point. We need that community. And it really is so powerful when you can, just from like the energetics, even of just a group of people all like, right, you get to raise to the highest vibration. And it really is, it is everything. Community is everything. And it really does help people not truly feel like they're alone, because nobody is.
Yes. Thank you, Jaclyn. Okay, John, you're going to close us out today. Please let us know what community has meant for you.
Okay, so for me, first, I agree with what everybody has said so far. Community is vitally important. It is life-saving. It is essential. If you look at our design as human beings, neurologically, through your cellular function, I mean, everything, it is essential. Some of the most important things for us as human beings to be able to do for good health and vitality and longevity and so forth is to be able to love others and to be able to give to others, to treat others the way you want to be treated, to love even your enemy, and so forth. And if we don't have community, there's no one to love. There's no one to give of yourself. And likewise, you can't be able to receive reciprocation from others where you also receive love from other people. So the whole essence of love being the most powerful force, love being of the highest energy, love being the most important thing in life. If there's no community, there's really no love. So that's what's important to me about community, is that you get to share love with others, you get to receive love from others, and that's the bottom line. That's what community is to me and the importance of it.
Well, I love that we're finishing with love, you guys. Oh my goodness. Dr. Greg Natello, Jaclyn Kaminski, Michelle Briggs, Dr. John Stockton, thank you so much for what you all do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. You all, this is so much more than a book. It's a generous community. You're staring at 4 of them. All right, so drop down into the show notes because I have these experts hooked up with their links and their websites, all the good stuff. Please go explore what they're up to. It's a lot. It's amazing. And they're there to answer a question. They're there to help guide you on the next step of your journey. Also, remember that you are invited to join us for our book launch party, April 18. I'm going to gather with all of the authors of Holistic Mental Health Volume 2. Our authors are going to be there to drop some golden nuggets of wisdom for you. We're going to have some fun giveaways. I've got some information down below about that. And if you happen to be listening anytime after the 18th, please, that just means the book is ready on Amazon. You can go over and grab your beautiful copy. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.